it. But if you're not listening to podcasts right now, what are you doing? Like, what are you legitimately doing if you're not listening to podcasts? Hey guys, it's Miz and it is what it is, and today we're going to be talking about what's my favorite podcast, or like what podcast you should be listening to in general, because podcasts, I always say this, it's like free information to be successful, to thrive. Basically, it's like a cheat code in life. Like, I just love podcasts so much, so let's just get started. Let's start here with our podcast. So I listen to a lot of Christian-based podcasts, but sometimes I listen to people from TikTok, from YouTube. But some of the podcasts I like to listen to is Happy and Healthy by Jeanine Amapola. She's a YouTuber and she's also Christian, and her podcasts are so good. Some of the podcasts I've listened to, let's go to our previously played. So she talked about how to deal with disappointments in life, and that was so good. That was so encouraging for me. Another one is Problem with Sex and Our Culture, and that one was super insightful about like how we take sex, like how, you know what, we're not really going to talk on that topic, but if you guys want to listen to the podcast, I highly recommend it. The other one I listened to was The Scary Truth of New Age Practices. I used to be obsessed with law of attraction, manifestation. I've always been Christian, but a few years I kind of was like doing law of attraction and all that stuff, and it was like, and it was kind of scary. Things were happening to me, so I was like, bye, we are not doing that anymore. But that podcast is really good, and that one is with Natalie's Outlet, and she's also a YouTuber too, and she's Christian, and I highly recommend watching their YouTube videos because they're really, really good. Why am I talking so fast? I don't know why I'm talking so fast, but you guys need to listen to Happy and Healthy because she has really good topics. Tara Talks, and this is Miss Tara Sun, I want to say, on Instagram, and she has like an Instagram ministry. She does cute graphics and stuff like that. I highly recommend listening to her podcast. It brings so much encouragement. It's basically, hers is kind of like back to the basics. I want to say hers is back to the basics, but this is her Instagram, and she does like cute drawings. So this is her Instagram, and she does really cute graphics and stuff like that. Oh, ta-da! If I could draw, I would do the same, but I'm not the best at drawing. So her podcasts are really good. So far, she just started this podcast. I've listened to From Lazy Faith to Living Faith. So that's basically talking about how to stop being lazy with your faith and actually start living it, not just saying it, but being about it, acting on your faith. Another one is How to Apply and Live Through Scriptures. So she talks about reading the scripture and actually applying it to your life. She talks about taking one day out of the week to actually practice the fruits of the Spirit. So it's so good. She talks about the story of this ministry. Oh, I listened to that one in September. That was so far ago. Podcast I've listened to, Made for This by Jeanine. I want to say Jeannie Allen. I'm so sorry if I'm not saying it right, but Jeannie Allen. And I actually started listening to this podcast after I did the Low Sister Book Club. I did the book club for... let me get my book. So here's the book. Get Out of Your Head. I did the Low Book Club, and it had worksheets and stuff like that. And Low Sister is from Sadie Robinson. She has like a ministry, a website and an app where there's questions, there's book clubs, there's live Zooms with her, and it's so good. And I think I paid $50 for 1 year, and it has access to all her devotionals and all her special favorites and so much more. If you guys are really interested in that, I will comment that down below so you guys can register and get some information on that. But the reason why I found out about Jeannie Allen was because that she had a podcast was because the book club incorporated the podcast with the chapters. I always listen to podcasts in the car. Recently, I've been trying to get back in the habit of like doing my normal routine, but I love listening to podcasts in the car. I just love podcasts so much. Like, I get very passionate about podcasts. Like, when people ask me, like, you love podcasts? Yes, I love podcasts. I listen to a breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's free information on the go. I don't need to watch a full-on video. I can just like listen to someone. Even if I'm in the car, you want to watch a YouTube video, but you can't really watch a YouTube video because you're driving. So I highly recommend listening to podcasts because honestly, it's one of the best ways to get free information. Sometimes these topics are not really talked on YouTube, and I don't know, it's just like I love podcasts so much. Like, I'm done. talking about how much I love podcasts so much. Next we have Chat with Kat. Okay, so Chat with Kat, she's Christian, but some of these topics she's talked about are not like faith-based. So these are just honestly like practical tips that you can take. So her TikTok I found just because I love self-care. I don't know if you guys like doing self-care days, but I love doing self-care days. I love treating myself. I was looking for a morning routine and a night routine, and she just had all of that for me, like morning, night routine, how to go about your goals. And she also has a course, but it's sold out, so second round I'm probably gonna get in that. But she talks about affirmations, she talks about what's stopping you. I want to say she's going to school for like physiology, I think that's what it's called, psychology, I don't know, something ologies, okay? And she talks about like what we like, you know, what we're going through. So some of the podcasts I've listened to is being okay, I'm gonna slow down. Unapologetically you. So she talks about what self-care looks like. She talks about creating an environment for growth and consistency. She talks about positive affirmations, finding motivation during COVID-19. She talks about healing and letting go. She talks about preparing for online school and managing anxiety. So all of these things are stuff that I've actually struggled with. I'm not gonna lie, I've never really dealt with mental health head on like this. So her podcast always bring such great encouragement, and I highly recommend you guys listening to it. Also checking her TikToks out because they're so motivational. They get me to want to start my day. It inspires me to want to do more for myself and be productive. So I highly recommend you guys listening to that podcast. Bought and Beloved by Kirby Minnick. I hope that's how you say that. If not, I'm so sorry. But her podcasts are really good. Last podcast I listened to is talking about combating complacency with desire, how to serve and lead like Christ, knowing your purpose and calling, crafting your passion and purpose, breaking change and people pleasing, and praying through major life decisions. So her podcasts are really good. She also has TikTok as well. I listened to one podcast from the Daily Grace Co. Yes, and that one was called God's Design for Sex, and that one was really good. And it talked about how we're gonna sum it up. It talked about just sex in general and how it's designed for marriage, that it's God's gift. Like God created that aspect of, you know, God created sex and it's meant for marriage, and you know, we honor him through like I can't even explain. Okay, so God's design for sex. Sorry, this podcast, I'm trying to establish how they talked about it to get a quick summary that I highly recommend all my ladies to listen to, because it talks about how we see sex everywhere, but it's really God's gift that's meant for marriage. You know, like, you know, if you have sex, I'm gonna just say, like, if you have sex without being marriage, it brings a lot of baggage, and a lot of people don't talk about sex in that way. Maybe I could do a video on this, but having sex before marriage, it brings a lot of baggage, it brings a lot of shame, it brings a lot of like low self-esteem. It's not just because like, oh, you need to save it for marriage. No, because it brings a lot of shame. It affects who you are before you get into more relationships. It affects your identity, and it, you know, it has, I can't even get into it, but the way they described it is so good. So when people say don't have sex until marriage, it's to protect you. It's to honor God. It's meant for marriage. It's not meant to be doing it with everyone that you see in the streets. That was a little aggressive, but honestly, it's a gift from God that, you know, is placed in marriage to, you know, it's just meant for marriage. I can't even explain it, but for some people, maybe I can have a little girl talk on my channel about this topic, because I'm very passionate about this, that I didn't understand why it was so important to, to have sex until marriage. But anyways, we'll have a topic on that, because I'm probably just gonna like get onto that one, but highly recommend listening to that podcast. Next podcast we have, oh, For the Girl. I have some of their books. They have like For the Girl. I actually found them on Instagram, I think, and they had a book. I bought their like workbook, and I bought one of their devotionals, and it was really, really good. And some of the podcasts that they have, okay, sorry, I didn't want to click any podcast because I have like saved podcasts. But some of the podcasts that I listen to, basically For the Girl, it's talking about like for the girl who is waiting, for the girl who is single, for the girl who's in a relationship, for the girl who you know, for the girl who wants to read her Bible. It is directed for the girl who is going through that situation, and I love that so much. One of them I listened to is for the girl who secretly dreads reading her Bible, so how to understand and fall in love with Scripture. Another one I've listened to is for the girl who wants to lead, for the girl who is in a relationship, giving God back the control of her love story. Another one is for the girl who wants a relationship to have a kingdom impact, and for the romantic, dating personality type episode 2. So they talk about dating personalities, and I highly recommend checking them out. And they also have a ministry online that they do. I'm not a part of that one. I do want to be a part of that one, but eventually I will. But I highly recommend you guys checking them out on Instagram, checking out their website, and checking out their YouTube channels. And they're in colleges as well. That's the greatest part. I think that's how I found them, is because they're in colleges. They are a college ministry, you guys. So if you guys are in college, you guys should highly recommend checking them out. Even if you could start a chapter at your school, and it's called the Light Ministries. That is how I established who For the Girl was. I had to think about it. I was like, how did I even find them? Because I didn't just find them for the girl. I found them because they were a college ministry. Snaps. Okay, this one, I don't know if she's Christian or not, but she's a YouTuber, and this one is called Full of Joy, and these podcasts were very encouraging. I love her YouTube channel. If you guys have not checked her YouTube channel, highly recommend. You guys need to do that right now. But she talks about relationships, online dating, and finding the one. She also did a podcast about what she would tell her single self. She talks about, I listened to Enduring Healing, how to fully enjoy your life, comparison is the thief of joy, and a daily mindset routine to have. Oh, sorry, my camera's about to die. And she talked about three things we talked about before getting married. So that one was really good. I also listened to The Heart of Dating. I just haven't listened to it anymore because I'm not dating anyone. But just because you're not dating anyone doesn't mean you can't listen to The Heart of Dating. I'm still in my little feels sometimes. I get into my feels sometimes. So sometimes I am okay to listen to it, and then sometimes I'm like, turn it off. So we have, in this one, some of the podcasts that I've listened to is The Truth About Your Value, Dating After Betrayal, Divorce, and Extreme Heartbreak, My Biggest Heartbreak and 3 Tips How to Help a Broken Heart, Understanding Soul Ties and How to Break Them, How to Recognize Abuse and Gaslighting, When and How to Walk Away from a Toxic Person, Dating as a Black Woman. We have Long Distance Dating, Discipline and Boundaries. We have Fierce Faith-Filled Dating to Prepare for Fierce Marriage. We have Sex, Virginity, and Purity, and What are the Roles of the First Date. So that's what we have. For that, we have Higher Battle, and she's a TikToker. Is that how you call them? TikToker? And so she talked about podcasts that I listened to from her was really good. Is Why Does God Take Out People of Your Life and How to Handle That, and Why God Has You in a Season of Singleness, How to Be Happy and Single. So a lot of these podcasts, what does it mean? What should I be doing in my singleness? So those are I love podcasts because it gets directly to what you're actually looking for. It Just Happens podcast, and that one was really good. 2 podcasts that I listened to is Challenging Seasons and Keeping a Kingdom Mindset, and then Becoming Your Best Self. No! Okay, sorry. I had 13 episodes. Have you ever done that when you listen to podcasts, you accidentally click one and it's do you want to keep these episodes or do you want to clear episodes so you can listen to this list? They haven't posted in a long time, but I love their YouTube channel so much. Sydney Kale and why did I forget his name? Tony. I forgot his name because it says Anthony on here, but on Instagram it's Tony. Their podcast is so good. I wish they did more podcasts, but the 3 that they have here is really fantastic. So we have Overcoming Anxiety in the Unknown, COVID-19, and then 6 productive habits for quarantine, and then how you react really matters, responding by faith and not fear. These topics are really good, and I highly recommend listening to the podcast. They are a married couple and wedding photographer together, and I just really love their YouTube channel, and if they did more podcasts, I would love those too. Oh, because I cannot forget my friend's podcast, okay? This is called The Empowerment Project, you guys. ladies and gentlemen, the volume on this bus is very high because she is consistent. She's killing the game on the podcast. She has 238 podcast episodes. So if you guys really like her podcast, you will never run out of podcasts to listen to her. Listen on her subscription, her account. You guys, so good. So some of the podcasts that I've listened to, we're gonna expose myself, is Doubt. What's hindering your faith? That one was really good. It brought so much encouragement. She's talking about before you doubt your faith, you need to doubt those doubts, like, period. Okay, then we have how to walk out of your waiting season, talking about complacency, social media, and being in a rut. That was really, really good. She talks about what does it mean to be a godly woman, how to cope with the breakup, what do you need to know about your single season, trusting God's timing and plan, and having strong faith, feeling disconnected from God. And then, I haven't finished listening to this one, but the next one is, do Christians misuse social media, and how to make it a healthier place to hang out. I need to listen to that one. And we have reinventing yourself. We have distraction and desires. We have social media post paralysis and silencing your voice. So those are some of the podcasts that I've listened to. I need to listen to more of hers, but I highly recommend you guys listening to it because you are not going to regret it. The episodes are long and lengthy, but that's how we like it here because, like, we're not doing anything anyways, so. You guys, but I love Lindsay Ray. Like, I love Lindsay Ray so much. Her aesthetic, her outfits. Talked about things to do in quarantine and how to feel, how I've been feeling in a positive mindset. She talks about true friendships and finding yourself in self-love. And she does like 73 questions to get to know her. She talks about her health and fitness journey, finding a balance, and healthy recipes. And she talks about healthy habits that changed her life. Okay, so next up, this one is the Virtue Podcast. This is from my church, and they just came out with a podcast to coincide with our, what's it called? Hold on, let me get it. Oh, okay, so the church that I attend to, they just made a podcast from their women's ministry called the Virtue Podcast. Matches the podcast. Here's one. We do these daily. Unfiltered faith is really, really, really about the new age deception, candid conversations. You're not alone. You're actually overcoming. It talks about defeating darkness with Ben Courson. If you guys, he has a podcast too. I didn't mention him, but he has a YouTube channel and he came to our church to talk. And he has a book and it's talking about defeating depression and it's really, really good. Whoa, That's Good by Sadie Robinson. Because I did talk about her. I forgot she had a podcast already. Woo! Well, That's Good. Her podcasts are so good, okay? Like, that's why it's called Whoa, That's Good, because her podcasts are like, whoa, that's really good. This one talks about Jesus, the main character, dreaming big, you're not alone, the next big step. She talks about relationship goals. She talks about how to have your life not suck, looking for more, a life after loss, get out of your own head. She talks about being young and scrappy. She talks about faith in God's plan. I've listened to a lot, okay? Live from love. She talks about Corey Asbury. I don't know things, but those are the podcasts that I really, really enjoy. Some of them are faith-based, Christian-based, just because I feel like I like to see other people. I feel like it's so important to get wisdom from other people. Also, there might be some of you guys who don't have a Christian community to go to, and that's why I highly recommend listening to podcasts because they can pour into you, because sometimes you can feel alone. It's like, I don't have any Christian friends to really talk to, but sometimes before you, like, you know, because I don't know how, like, churches are right now, but if you don't have that community, if you don't have that group of people to surround yourself with, I highly recommend starting with podcasts because it's super valuable information. That's information that you can also carry in your heart and share with other people, and that's wisdom that you're gaining that you just have because you're just listening to podcasts. You're filling yourself with knowledge, and that doesn't mean, like, oh, don't read your Bible, because I read my Bible. I do a Bible study. And I'm also starting to read Christian books now. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I used to be obsessed with my phone. I used to be obsessed with Instagram, social media, like everything, like on it 24/7, that I never even got a chance to look at my Bible. Never even got a chance to even think about podcasts. Never even got the chance to even read a book. And so now I've limited my time on social media, that I have time to read my Bible. I have time to read faith-based Christian books. I have time to listen to podcasts, things that are pouring into me. I feel like my heart posture is so much important than what I'm trying to look for on social media. I feel like if you're not pouring into your heart, if you're not feeding your heart, because like this is a time where we're still in quarantine, but if we're when you're watching this, we're still in quarantine. Today is November 3rd when I'm filming this. And the reason why I'm saying that is because when you're alone sometimes, when you don't know what the future holds, you need to be filling your heart with positive things. You need to be filling your heart with truth. You need to be gaining wisdom. You need to be feeding yourself with wisdom and knowledge that can help you grow and not deteriorate your circumstance, because sometimes we get into our own heads. Sometimes what we say, our feelings are not ever the truth. I established that our feelings are not the truth, because our feelings can lie to us. Our feelings constantly change, but if you're on the word of God, that's something that remains the same always. So I just hope you guys enjoyed these podcast recommendations. I am a sorry, it cut me off because she was like, girl, you've been talking for way too long. But I just want to say, if you guys have podcasts that I'm not listening to, please comment them down below and I will give them a shot. I will give them a listen, because I love podcasts. Honestly, it's ridiculous. Like, I should probably be like, people ask me like, did you hear that new song on the radio? No, ma'am, I did not hear that song on the radio, because I don't listen to the radio. I listen to worship music, or we listen to nothing. Or it's either worship music, podcast, or silence. Sometimes if I feel like I need to dance, or like I'm working out, like that's when I listen to like music on the radio. But other than that, I really like to just gain knowledge. Like, I just like I like to know stuff. I like to be educated. I don't like to be the last one to know things. And, sometimes receiving this knowledge from podcasts gives me more knowledge, because my friends are like, oh, like, how do you know that? Or, oh, I didn't think of it that way, because I'm getting other insight from other people, creating my own information, my own analysis on what I am receiving. So it's so important to listen to podcasts. I can't stop talking. I'm gonna cut the video here because I can ramble on all day long. But if you guys stayed till this end of the to the end of the video, I just want to say thank you guys so much for your love, your kindness, and support, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.